Sophie thought the burning mark on her shoulder blade was just stress, until her boyfriend dumped her on her birthday, and the kingdom's most dangerous man slid into the empty chair across from her. The silver wine he offered would save her life. The mark on her shoulder would bind her to him in ways she couldn't imagine. And the truth about what she really was? That would soon make her the most hunted woman in the realm. The cake arrived just as Cedric reached across the table and took her hand. For one perfect moment, Sophie thought he was going to propose. The restaurant, Belmont's, the finest establishment in the capital, the one she'd mentioned wanting to visit for over a year, had dimmed its lights. Candlelight danced across their table, and she could see other diners turning to look, their faces bright with anticipation. Her 25th birthday, and Cedric had actually remembered, planned something special for once. The small velvet cake sat between them, a single golden candle burning at its center. Delicate script across the chocolate surface read, "Happy Birthday, Sophie," in shimmering sugarwork. But anxiety curled around her heart even as she smiled. The mark on her shoulder blade, the one that had been burning for 3 days straight, pulsed with fresh heat beneath her dress. She'd hidden it from Cedric, told herself it was just a rash, stress from her job at the records office. But the burning had grown worse each day, and now, with his hand in hers and the entire restaurant watching, the heat flared so intensely she nearly gasped. "Sophie," Cedric said, and his voice carried a serious tone that made her heart jolt into her throat. "There's something I need to tell you." She held her breath. They'd been together for 2 years, and yes, lately he'd been distant, but maybe this was why. Maybe he'd been planning a proposal all along. "I can't do this anymore." Sophie's smile faltered, confusion washing over her. "What?" "Us. This." Cedric pulled his hand back. "I'm sorry, Sophie, but I can't keep pretending." The restaurant wasn't dim anymore. It was somehow blazing bright, every candle on every table suddenly too much. The faces turned toward them no longer anticipatory, but hungry, waiting to see her break. "You're—" Her voice cracked. She tried again. "You're breaking up with me? On my birthday?" "I know the timing is terrible." Cedric had the decency to look uncomfortable at least. His fingers drummed against the white tablecloth, a nervous habit she used to find endearing. Now it just made her want to reach across and stop his hand. "But I've been thinking about this for months. You've changed, Sophie. You used to be softer, easy to be around. Now you argue with me about everything. You're always restless, pacing, and you eat more than I do, which is frankly embarrassing when we're out." Heat flooded her face, not from the mark this time, but from shame. "I've been hungry. That's not a crime." "It's not just that." His eyes wouldn't meet hers. "You've become so physical, always touching me, hanging on my arm. It's suffocating. And the way you look at people sometimes, like you're sizing them up, deciding if they're a threat, it's unnerving, Sophie. You're too intense. I need someone more conventional." The burning on her shoulder blade flared white-hot, and Sophie gritted her teeth against the pain. Sweat beaded at her temples. Her vision blurred slightly at the edges, tinged with gold. "I've been completely normal," she managed, but even as she said it, doubt slithered through her memory. The restlessness, the constant hunger, the way her body ran so hot lately that she'd stopped needing blankets at night. Maybe he was right. Maybe something was wrong with her. "You haven't," Cedric said quietly. "And I think deep down, you know that. I'm sorry, Sophie, but I can't be with someone who scares me." He stood then, smoothing down his jacket, and Sophie saw movement at the restaurant entrance. A woman with honey-colored hair in an elegant green dress stood framed in the doorway, watching. Pretty. Delicate. Everything Sophie apparently wasn't. "You have someone else?" Sophie said instinctively. Cedric at least had the grace to wince. Mara and I, it's new, but she's steady, calm. She doesn't, he stopped himself. Doesn't make you feel like you're with something wild? She couldn't keep the bitterness out of her voice. I'm sorry, he said again, as if apologies could erase 2 years. I'll collect my things from your apartment this week. Then he walked away. Across the restaurant, straight to Mara, leaving Sophie alone at a table set for 2, with a birthday cake she couldn't bring herself to look at. The awkward silence in the restaurant pressed down like a physical weight. Sophie's hands trembled as she gripped the edge of the table. The burning on her shoulder had spread, racing down her spine, pooling in, her chest. She needed to leave. Stand up, hold her head high, walk out of this nightmare with whatever dignity remained. But her body wouldn't cooperate. The heat was intensifying, and now her hands were shaking not just from humiliation, but from something else entirely. Panic crawled up her spine like a spider. What was happening to her? Is this seat taken? The voice was low, edged with something dark and commanding. Sophie looked up, ready to tell whoever it was to leave her alone. But the words died in her throat. The man standing beside Cedric's abandoned chair was tall enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes, with black hair that fell in waves just past his collar, sharp cheekbones, and lips that rested in something just short of a smile. He wore dark traveling leathers that molded to his broad shoulders, but it was his eyes that caught her, a unique shade of storm gray. When they met hers, something inside Sophie's chest pulled so hard she gasped. The burning mark on her shoulder flared again, but this time it didn't hurt. Actually, yes, Sophie managed, hating how her voice wavered. Someone was sitting there. Forget him, the stranger said, his gaze flicking to where Cedric had disappeared with Mara. Before Sophie could protest, the man slid into the empty seat. He lifted one hand, and a server appeared instantly, the same server who'd been ignoring Sophie since Cedric left. Silver wine, the stranger said. Immediately. The server's eyes widened. Sir, we don't typically. You do now. The words weren't loud, but something in them made the server pale and hurry away. Then those storm-gray eyes returned to Sophie, and she felt pinned, studied, seen in a way that made her skin prickle. You're burning up, he said quietly. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. The mark on your shoulder blade. It's been hurting for days. His eyes tracked Sophie's face, reading every micro-expression. And right now, you're about 60 seconds from losing control in a very public way. Terror flooded through her. How do you... Because I consented on you. He leaned forward slightly. My name is Owen, and I need you to trust me for the next 2 minutes, or everyone in this restaurant is going to see something they shouldn't. The server returned with a crystal glass filled with liquid that shimmered like moonlight. Owen took it and slid it across the table to Sophie. Drink this, he said. All of it. It will help. Sophie stared at the glass. Every instinct told her not to trust strangers, not to drink mysterious liquids. But the burning flared yet again, so intense she bit back a cry. She could feel something under her skin, trying to claw its way out. So she grabbed the glass and drank. The liquid was cool and sharp. It slid down her throat like silk, and immediately, blessedly, the burning dimmed. The pressure under her skin eased. Her vision cleared. Sophie set the empty glass down, with shaking hands. What was that? Silver wine. Rare, expensive, and very effective at delaying certain transformations. Owen studied her with an intensity that made her feel stripped bare. You have about an hour before it wears off. We should leave. Now. I'm not going anywhere with you. I don't know you. You know enough. He stood, extending his hand. You know I'm the only person in this room who understands what's happening to you. You know that mark on your shoulder means something, and you know, his eyes locked on hers, that you're curious about me, aren't you? Sophie's breath caught, because he was right. Something in her chest was pulling toward him. Who are you? She whispered. Someone who can give you answers, but not here. Owen's hand remained extended. Trust me, Sophie. Just for tonight. She knew she should walk away, go home, pretend this nightmare of a birthday never happened, but she needed answers. So she took his hand. His fingers closed. Around hers, warm and steady, and the mark on her shoulder pulsed once, not with pain, but with recognition. Owen's eyes flashed, just for a second, with light the color of amber. Then he was pulling her to her feet, guiding her through the restaurant. Sophie caught glimpses of shocked faces, heard the whispers following them, but Owen moved with such confident authority that no one dared stop them. The night air hit her like a blessing after the stifling heat of Belmont's. Sophie dragged in a breath, trying to steady herself, but Owen didn't slow. He led her down the street, away from the lights and crowds, into the maze of older buildings near the merchant district. Where are we going? Sophie asked, her pulse racing, though whether from fear or something else, she couldn't tell. Somewhere private, somewhere you can shift without witnesses. Shift? What are you? But the burning was returning already, creeping back through her veins like fire. The silver wine had bought them time, but not much. Owen pulled her into an alley, then through a door she hadn't noticed, into what looked like an abandoned inn. Dust motes danced in the moonlight streaming through broken windows. The space smelled of old wood and neglect. This will do, Owen said, releasing her hand. Sophie wrapped her arms around herself. You need to tell me what's happening. Right now. Owen turned to face her fully, and in the moonlight, he looked otherworldly, dangerously beautiful. You're a shifter, he said simply, a wolf, and you're about to experience your first transformation. Sophie stared at him. That's insane. Shifters are just myths. We're very real, and you're one of us. Owen moved closer, his presence overwhelming. Your shift should have happened when you were younger, 13, 14 at most. Someone's been suppressing it, hiding what you are. But suppression can't last forever. At 25, your wolf is breaking through whether you're ready or not. I can't be. I'm human. My father is human. My mother died when I was young, but she was. What happened to her? Owen's eyes sharpened. I don't know. My father never talked about her much. Just that she died in an animal attack when I was 5. Something flickered across Owen's face. Or she died protecting you from something worse. He took a breath. Sophie, show me the mark. The one that's been burning. Her hands went instinctively to her shoulder, defensive. Why? Because it will tell me what you are, and what we're dealing with. The burning pulsed again, insistent. Sophie's fingers found the buttons at the back of her dress, hesitating. Trust him, something whispered inside her. The voice startled her, but her fingers were already moving now, unfastening the buttons. She pulled the fabric down just enough to expose her left shoulder blade. Owen went absolutely still. Sophie couldn't see his face, but she heard his sharp intake of breath. You're scaring me. What is it? Turn around. She did, and watched his expression transform. Wonder. Shock. Something that looked almost like reverence. You're a silver wolf, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. What does that mean? It means you're rarer than you can possibly imagine. Silver wolves haven't existed in 300 years. They were hunted nearly to extinction because... He stopped himself, shaking his head. That's a conversation for later. Right now, you need to shift, and I need to be here when you do. I don't know how to. You don't have to know. Your wolf already knows. Owen's hand lifted, almost touching her shoulder before he caught himself. The silver wine is wearing off. I can see it in your eyes. They're turning gold. It's going to hurt, Sophie. I won't lie to you, but I'll be here the entire time. Before Sophie could process that, pain lanced through her spine. She cried out, stumbling, and Owen caught her. It's starting, he said, lowering her gently to the dusty floor. Don't fight it. Fighting makes it worse. I can't. But flames of agony were engulfing her now, racing through every nerve. Somehow her bones were moving, reshaping, and the sensation was beyond anything she'd ever experienced. Look at me, Owen commanded, and despite the pain, Sophie's eyes found his. Breathe. Let your wolf come. She's part of you. She's been waiting so long to be free. Sophie wanted to tell him this was scientifically impossible, but another wave of pain stole her voice. Her spine arched, her fingers curled into claws? Actual claws, sharp and silver. That's it, Owen murmured. Let her come. Once Sophie stopped fighting, the shift took her like a riptide, pulling her under, remaking her from the inside out. Bones cracked and reformed, muscles stretched and strengthened. Fur rippled across skin that no longer felt like skin. The pain was extraordinary, but underneath it was something else, the most unbridled form of freedom and power. When it finally ended, Sophie collapsed on the dusty floor, panting. But her breath didn't sound human anymore. She lifted her head, and the world exploded into sensation. Every scent, every sound, magnified 100-fold. She could hear Owen's heartbeat, steady and strong, could smell pine and winter and something uniquely him that made her wolf perk with interest, could see in the darkness as clearly as day, and she could see herself, reflected in a shard of broken mirror across the room. Silver fur, gleaming and luminous, like moonlight made solid. Amber eyes that glowed in the darkness. She was smaller than she'd expected, sleeker, but unmistakably powerful. Beautiful, Owen's voice said, and Sophie's wolf ears swiveled toward him. He was crouched a few feet away, giving her space, but his eyes had changed. They glowed amber now, matching hers, and his canines had lengthened, just slightly. A partial shift. Can you hear me? He asked, and Sophie realized his lips hadn't moved. He was speaking directly into her mind. How are you? We're wolves. We can communicate like this when we're shifted. His mental voice was warm, almost amused. How do you feel? Sophie took a tentative step forward, testing her new body, and stumbled. Her legs didn't move the way she expected. She tried again, managing 2 steps before her paws tangled and she went down hard. Pain spiked through her shoulder where she'd hit the ground, and a whimper escaped her before she could stop it. Owen was there in an instant, not as a man anymore, but as a wolf. The shift took him so fast, Sophie barely saw it happen. One moment crouching, the next a massive wolf with fur the color of midnight stood before her. He was enormous, easily twice her size, but when he lowered himself to the ground beside her, the gesture was gentle, protective, easy. His voice rumbled through her mind. Your body's new. Give yourself time. He pressed his muzzle against her shoulder, and warmth spread through the joint. The pain eased. Sophie's wolf responded instinctively, pressing closer to him, her smaller frame tucked against his larger one, and for a moment, just a heartbeat, they stayed like that. His warmth seeping into her, his scent filling her senses. Her wolf wanted to stay there, safe in the shelter of him, but he pulled back, just slightly. Try standing again, he said gently. I'm right here. This time, when Sophie stood, her legs cooperated. She took 1 step, then another. Wobbly, but improving. Good. That's good. Owen circled her slowly, staying close enough to catch her if she fell. Now, can you shift back? It should be easier now that you've done it once. I don't know how. Close your eyes. Picture yourself as human. Your wolf will understand. Sophie tried. Pictured her human body, her face, her hands. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the shift took her again, gentler this time, quicker. Within seconds, she was human once more, kneeling naked on the dusty floor. He flooded her face as awareness crashed over her. She crossed her arms over her chest instinctively, but Owen had already turned away. He stood with his back to her, shoulders rigid with control, and shrugged out of his leather jacket without once glancing back. "Here," he said quietly, extending the jacket behind him. Sophie took it with trembling fingers and wrapped herself in it quickly. It smelled like him, pine and winter, and something wild that made her wolf purr. The leather was still warm from his body, the weight of it settling around her like an embrace. "You can look now," she said quietly. Owen turned, and the intensity in his eyes made her heart gallop. His gaze traced over her, taking in the way his jacket dwarfed her frame, the silver mark on her shoulder just visible above the collar, her tousled hair and flushed cheeks. "A silver wolf," he said again. "I never thought I'd see one in my lifetime." "You still haven't told me what that means." "It means—" Owen ran a hand through his dark hair. "Silver wolves are different from regular shifters. Stronger, but that's not why they were hunted. Each silver wolf carries a unique gift. Some could heal. Others could sense emotions. One, centuries ago, could manipulate dreams. And mine? I don't know yet. Your gift will reveal itself in time." His eyes held hers. "But whatever it is, there are people who will fear it, who will want you dead before you can discover it." A chill raced down Sophie's spine. "The hunts. You know about them?" "Only from children's stories. Humans who hunted monsters." She pulled his jacket tighter around herself. "I thought they were fairy tales." "They were very real, and they were disbanded centuries ago, or so we thought." Owen's expression darkened. "But if you exist, if the silver wolf bloodline survived, then others will be searching too. People who don't want the balance of power to shift." "I don't understand why this is happening to me. I'm a clerk. I work a very boring job and go home to a tiny apartment. There's nothing special about me." Owen crossed the distance between them, and suddenly he was right there, close enough that Sophie could feel the heat radiating from him. Were all shifters this warm? His hand lifted to her face, hovering just shy of touching. "You're special to me," he said, his voice rough. "You're a silver wolf, and you're—" He stopped himself, jaw tightening. "I'm what?" His eyes searched hers, and Sophie saw the war happening behind them. "You're my mate." The words hung between them, heavy with meaning Sophie didn't fully grasp. But her wolf did. Her wolf was pressing against her skin, purring, wanting to shift again just to be closer to him. "What does that mean?" Sophie whispered. "It means, when I saw you in that restaurant, my wolf recognized yours. It means the mark on your shoulder is a mating bond beginning to form. That's why it's been burning. You were close to your first shift, and I was close enough for the bond to ignite." Owen's hand finally made contact, his fingers brushing her cheek with devastating gentleness. "It means everything in me knows you're mine." Sophie's breath caught. "How is that possible? We just met." His thumb traced her cheekbone, and Sophie shivered. "I know how crazy this sounds, but mate bonds are sacred among shifters. Rare. Most of us never find ours. And you think I'm yours? I know you are." His eyes were fierce. "Just like you know I'm yours. You feel it, don't you? The pull." "Yes, he's ours," her wolf said inside her mind, smug and certain. He smells delicious. Can we bite him? Sophie startled at the voice, her wolf's voice, distinct and far too enthusiastic. She shoved the feeling down, trying to tame the part of her that very much wanted to do exactly that. This morning I woke up human, Sophie said, her voice shaking. I was in a relationship I thought was normal. Now you're telling me I'm a wolf. I have some mysterious power, and we're destined to be together? I'm not telling you what to do with any of this. Owen's hand dropped from her face, and the loss of contact made her wolf whimper. But you need to understand, if I figured out what you are, others will too. You're not safe alone. There are people who've been searching for silver wolves for centuries. If they find you before you understand your power. Just then, glass shattered somewhere in the building. Owen moved faster than Sophie's eyes could track, putting himself between her and the door. His eyes blazed amber, canines lengthening. "Stay behind me," he growled. "What's—" The door to their room burst open. 3 figures stood in the doorway, dressed in dark clothing, faces covered. But Sophie could see their eyes, cold, calculating, human, and the weapons in their hands gleamed silver. "Well, looks like the rumors were true," one of them said, his voice muffled behind a mask. "A silver wolf, alive and well. Lord Carrick will pay handsomely for this." Owen's growl was inhuman. "You're not touching her." "We're not asking permission, Wolf." The man raised his weapon, a crossbow loaded with a silver-tipped bolt. "Step aside, or we put you down first." Everything happened at once. Owen shifted fully, radiating power that ripped through the air, rattling the broken windows. The hunter fired. Owen twisted, the bolt whistling past his ear so close she saw it slice through a lock of his hair. He closed the distance in a single bound, jaws closing around the hunter's throat. The crunch of bone was sickeningly loud. The man didn't even have time to scream before he crumpled, lifeless. The other 2 hunters reacted instantly, one swinging his crossbow toward Owen, the other turning on Sophie with a silver blade. Her wolf exploded to the surface, the shift taking her before she could think. One moment human, the next racing forward on 4 legs, a snarl tearing from her throat. The hunter slashed at her. Sophie twisted mid-leap, feeling the blade slice through air where her neck had been a heartbeat before. She landed behind him, spun, and drove her shoulder into the back of his knees. He went down hard. Her claws found his weapon arm, raking deep. He screamed, the blade clattering away. Movement in her peripheral vision, the 3rd hunter taking aim at Owen's exposed flank. Sophie launched herself across the room, slammed into the hunter just as his finger tightened on the trigger. The bolt fired wild, punching into the ceiling in a spray of plaster. They hit the ground together, Sophie's momentum driving the air from his lungs. His head cracked against the floor. He went limp beneath her. She wheeled around, heart hammering, searching for Owen. He stood over the remaining hunter, his massive jaws dripping red. Owen's eyes found hers across the room, and Sophie saw something feral in them, something that should have terrified her, but instead she felt unmistakable pride and adrenaline. "See?" her wolf said, smugly. "Told you he was delicious." "We need to leave," Owen's voice filled her mind. "Now, before more come." Sophie shifted back, pulling on Owen's jacket with shaking hands. Owen shifted too, retrieving his clothes from where they'd fallen during his transformation. "Are you sure?" Sophie asked, trying not to look at the bodies. "Hunters travel in packs." Owen was dressed in seconds, moving with efficient speed. These 3 were just the advance team. His eyes met hers. "I need to get you somewhere safe. The only place I can truly protect you is the palace." "Why the palace?" "Because I'm the Alpha King, and you're my mate, which means you're about to become the most protected and most targeted woman in the realm." Sophie stared at him. "You're joking." "I wish I was." Owen moved to the door, checking the hallway. We need to move. Can you run? Yes, I think so. Then run, fast as you can. I'll be right behind you. They ran. Through the abandoned inn, into the streets, Owen, guiding her through a maze of alleys Sophie had never known existed. Her new wolf senses were overwhelming. Every smell, every sound sharp and distinct. She could hear footsteps behind them, tracking, hunting. Faster, Owen urged. Sophie pushed herself, her human body stronger now, more coordinated. They burst from the alleys into a wider street, and Sophie saw it in the distance, the palace, rising against the night sky like something from a dream. But between them and safety were more hunters, at least a dozen, forming a line across the street. Owen cursed and pulled Sophie behind him. There's too many, he said quietly. I can't fight them all and protect you. Then don't protect me. Fight with me. His eyes snapped to hers. Sophie, I'm not helpless. You saw me back there. I can fight. You're untrained. They'll kill you. They'll kill us both if you try to do this alone. Sophie met his gaze steadily. We're mates, right? Doesn't that mean we fight together? Owen's expression shifted. Pride laced with fear and something that looked dangerously like love. The hunters advanced in formation, weapons gleaming. Owen shifted first, his massive wolf erupting with a snarl that rattled Sophie's bones. She let her own wolf rise, silver fur rippling across her skin as the shift took her. The hunter struck. Steel flashed in moonlight. Sophie dodged left as a blade whistled past her muzzle, felt the wind of it against her fur. She lunged at the hunter's exposed leg, her jaws closing around muscle. He screamed. Beside her, Owen was a whirlwind of teeth and fury. A hunter went down, throat torn open. Another staggered back, clutching the ruin of his arm. Blood painted the cobblestones black in the darkness. But there were too many. Sophie's muscles burned, her movement slowing. She twisted away from one blade only to feel another bite deep into her shoulder. Pain lanced white-hot through her, and she yelped, stumbling. Owen's roar shook the street, primal, enraged. He was there in a heartbeat, his larger body a wall between her and the advancing hunters. Stay down, he commanded, his voice raw. Let me... But Sophie saw it. The hunter behind Owen, kneeling in the shadows. Crossbow raised, bolt aimed straight at Owen's heart, the silver tip gleaming. She didn't think. Her body moved before her mind could catch up. The bolt punched into her side instead, the impact driving her sideways. Silver fire raced through her veins, burning from the inside out. Sophie's legs gave out, and she hit the ground hard, a broken sound tearing from her throat. Sophie! Owen's mental scream was anguished. He shifted back to human, catching her as she fell, cradling her shifted form against his chest. No, 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 no. His hands pressed against the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Sophie, stay with me. The silver poison was spreading, burning through her like acid. Sophie's vision swam. She tried to shift back, but her wolf was too weak. That voice inside, her, the one that had purred over Owen, that had been so pleased with itself, slipped away like water through her fingers. In its place was hollow emptiness. Then she heard it. Hoofbeats, shouts, the clang of steel. The King's Guard, someone yelled, and the remaining hunters scattered. Sophie's vision was fading, but she felt Owen lift her, felt him running. Heard voices, a woman's voice, sharp and commanding. Get the healer now. The king's mate is injured, mate. She was Owen's mate, and she was dying. The last thing she heard before consciousness fled was Owen's voice, breaking, Please, please don't take her from me. Sophie was running through a forest, but her legs wouldn't work right. Too slow, too heavy. Behind her, hunters with faces like shadows closed in. She tried to shift, to call her wolf, but it was gone. Sophie. A man's voice now, distant and aching. Come back to me. The forest dissolved, the hunters faded, and Sophie woke to softness, silk sheets and the smell of lavender and something else. Owen? She opened her eyes. The room was beautiful. High ceilings, windows letting in golden afternoon light, tapestries on the walls. A palace room. She was in the palace. And Owen was there, slumped in a chair beside her bed, his head in his hands. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. His clothes were rumpled, stained with blood. Her blood, Sophie realized. Owen, she whispered. His head snapped up, and the relief that flooded his face was devastating. He was at her side in an instant, kneeling beside the bed, his hands hovering over her like he was afraid to touch. You're awake. Thank God you're awake. His voice was wrecked. The healer said you'd survive, but the poison, it took 4 days to purge from your system. Sophie tried to sit up, but winced as pain spiked through her side. Careful. Owen's hands finally made contact, steadying her. You took a bolt meant for me, a silver bolt. It could have killed you, but it didn't. You shouldn't have done that, Sophie. Shouldn't have jumped in front of me. His eyes searched her face, raw and vulnerable. You would have died. I would have healed. You almost didn't. His thumb traced her cheekbone, the touch achingly gentle. Don't ever do that again. Can't promise that. Sophie's hand covered his. My wolf is quite fond of you. She wouldn't let anything happen to you. Owen went absolutely still. His eyes widened slightly, something fierce and tender flooding his expression. Your wolf. She's back? You can feel her again? Sophie nodded and felt that familiar presence stir inside her. Not as strong as before, still recovering, but there. He smells even better up close. Her wolf purred, smug despite her weakness. When the poison spread, she went quiet. I thought I'd lost her. Owen's forehead pressed against hers, his breath shuddering out. You scared me. Both of you. His hand slid into her hair. I've been Alpha King for 12 years. I've fought wars, led armies, and nothing has ever scared me the way watching you take that bolt did. I'm okay, Sophie said softly. I'm here. And not going anywhere, her wolf added helpfully. Not when he's ours. Look at those shoulders. Owen's eyes flickered, like he could sense her wolf's presence even if he couldn't hear the exact words. A slight smile tugged at his mouth. Sophie's cheeks heated. She looked away, suddenly very interested in the tapestry on the far wall. You're here. Owen's smile softened into something more serious as he pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. In the palace, which means we need to talk about what happens next. What does happen next? First, you recover. Then I introduce you to my beta, Roxanne. She'll help train you, teach you control, combat, how to navigate wolf society. Owen's thumb brushed across her knuckles. But before all that, I want to court you properly, the way you deserve. I want to show you what it means to be cherished, to be wanted for exactly who you are. I'd like that, Sophie said quietly. Worry still sat on her chest, though, a familiar weight. But the court, will they accept me? Someone who appeared out of nowhere? They'll accept you because you're a silver wolf, because you're strong, and because... His eyes held hers. You're mine. Anyone who has a problem with that will answer to me. There's something else. Lord Carrick, the head councilman, disappeared 3 days ago, right after the attack. He's the one who sent the hunters. Why? Because a silver wolf bonded to the Alpha King shifts the balance of power. Your gift, whatever it turns out to be, combined with my authority, it would make us nearly unstoppable. Some people don't want that. So he'll try again? Yes, which is why you can't leave the palace until you're trained, until you can defend yourself. Owen's hand tightened on hers. I know I'm asking you to turn your life upside down. Owen. Sophie stopped him. This morning, well, I guess 4 days ago, I woke up thinking I was human, thinking I was in love with a man who thought I was too much. Now I know what I really am. And I know, she met his eyes. I know that when I look at you, something in me says home. Maybe that's the mate bond. Maybe it's fate. But I'm not running from it. You mean that? I mean it. Sophie's thumb stroked across his knuckles. But I need you to understand, I'm not going to be a mate who sits quietly while others make decisions. Cedric wanted that. He wanted someone soft and conventional. That's not who I am. I know. Owen's smile was small but genuine. Your wolf is fierce, brave. You jumped in front of a silver bolt to save me after knowing me for all of 3 hours. I don't want soft, Sophie. I want you, edges and all. Heat flared in Sophie's chest, but this time it felt warm and sweet. I want to kiss you, she said quietly. Owen's eyes darkened immediately, his gaze dropping to her lips with unmistakable hunger. You're injured, he said, but his voice had gone rough. His hand was already sliding into her hair, careful but possessive. Who says you can't be healing? Sophie's hand found the back of his neck. Sophie. His thumb traced her lower lip, and she watched his control fracture in real time, the way his breathing changed, the amber bleeding into his eyes. I don't want to hurt you. You won't, she whispered. Please. That word shattered what little restraint he had left. Owen's mouth found hers, and Sophie's world narrowed to just this, the taste of him. The kiss was gentle at first, careful of her injuries, but when Sophie made a soft sound of need, Owen's control frayed. His hand cupped her face, angling her head for better access. His tongue traced the seam of her lips, and Sophie opened for him, letting him in. The kiss deepened, turning hungry, desperate. 2 people who'd found something they didn't know they'd been searching for. When they broke, apart, breathing hard, Owen rested his forehead against hers. I've been waiting 32 years to feel this, he said, to feel this certain about someone. What does it feel like? Like I'd burn the world for you, like nothing else matters except keeping you safe and happy by my life. His eyes opened, finding hers. Like I'm finally complete. Sophie's chest ached. I felt so wrong my whole life. Too loud, too disagreeable. But with you, with me, you're exactly right. Owen kissed her again, softer this time. Promise me something. What's that? Promise you'll let me court you properly. Let me take you to dinner, show you the palace gardens, introduce you to my world. His thumb brushed her lower lip. Let me earn you. You already saved my life. That's not the same as earning your heart. His smile was crooked. I want both. Your wolf and your heart. And I'm willing to work for it. Warmth spread through Sophie's chest, bubbling up like champagne. Okay. Court me. Owen, show me your world. She smiled. And we'll see where this goes. His smile was brilliant. Then it faded slightly as he said, There's someone who wants to meet you. My beta, Roxanne. She's been waiting outside since you woke up. Bring her in. Owen stood, moving to the door. A woman entered, tall, with dark skin and silver-streaked hair pulled back in a severe braid. Her eyes were sharp and assessing. So you're the wolf who's turned my king's world upside down, Roxanne said, her voice carrying the weight of authority. Sophie sat up straighter despite the pain. I didn't mean to. Roxanne moved closer, studying Sophie with an intensity that reminded her of Owen. But here we are, A silver wolf bonded to the Alpha King. Haven't seen that in 3 centuries. Owen said you'd train me. I will, once you're healed. Roxanne's expression softened slightly. You jumped in front of a silver bolt for him. That was either very romantic or very naive. Both, Sophie admitted. Roxanne's laugh was unexpected. I think I'm going to like you. Most people are terrified of me. Should I be? Probably. I don't suffer fools, and I don't coddle. Roxanne crossed her arms. But I also don't waste time on lost causes. If Owen says you're his mate, if you're a silver wolf, then I'll make sure you survive what's coming. What is coming? Owen and Roxanne exchanged glances. Lord Carrick went dark for a reason. He's planning something, and until we know what, you're in danger. So we find him first, Sophie said. We? Roxanne raised an eyebrow. I'm not sitting in this room waiting to be attacked again. Sophie met the beta's eyes steadily. I'm a silver wolf. Teach me how to be one. Roxanne's smile was sharp. 2 weeks. That's how long you have to heal. Then we start training, and I promise you, it won't be easy. Good, Sophie said. I'm tired of easy. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of healing and discovery. Owen was true to his word. He courted her, brought her breakfast in bed, read to her when she was too restless to sleep, showed her the palace gardens when she was finally strong enough to walk, introduced her to pack members with a possessive pride that made her wolf gleeful, and every night he kissed her until she couldn't breathe before pulling away with iron control. Not until you're fully healed, he'd say, even as his eyes blazed amber with want. I won't risk hurting you. Sophie appreciated the consideration, even as tension built under her skin, because the mate bond was intensifying daily, and her wolf wanted more than kisses. But there were other discoveries, too, like the way she could sense emotions now, not thoughts, but feelings. She'd brush past a servant and know they were anxious, stand near a courtier and feel their ambition like oil on her skin. Is this my gift? She asked Owen one afternoon in the gardens. Sensing emotions? Possibly. His hand found hers, their fingers interlacing. Silver wolf. Gifts evolve. Get stronger with time and training. Have you found any information about Lord Carrick? Owen's expression darkened. No traces yet, but we're watching his known associates, tracking anyone who might be funding the hunts. He squeezed her hand. We'll find him, Sophie, before he can hurt you again. But that night, Sophie woke from a dream that felt too real to be coincidence. She'd seen a cathedral, old, crumbling, and in its depths, she'd felt malice, hunger, someone waiting. Sophie sat up, gasping. Owen appeared in her doorway instantly. He'd taken to sleeping in the adjoining room, close enough to hear if she needed him. What's wrong? I had a dream about a cathedral. I think I know where Carrick is hiding. Owen moved to her bed, sitting on the edge. Can you describe the cathedral? Sophie closed her eyes, pulling up the images. Stone. Old. There were symbols carved into the archway. Wolves, but twisted. Wrong. The old cathedral. Owen's voice was grim. It was abandoned decades ago. If Carrick is hiding there. He stood. I need to go there now. Not without me. Sophie, you're barely healed. Owen's jaw worked. Finally, he said, get dressed, but if things go wrong, you run. Promise me. I promise to stay alive, Sophie said, which wasn't quite the same thing. His eyes narrowed, but he didn't argue. Just pulled her close, his arms wrapping around her like he could keep her safe through sheer will alone. 20 minutes later, they were riding through the night. Sophie, Owen, Roxanne, and a dozen of the King's Guard. Sophie directed them through streets that should have been unfamiliar, but the dream had shown her the way. The old cathedral rose against the night sky like a broken tooth, dark and ominous. Sophie's wolf bristled as they approached. "Something's wrong," she told Owen through their mental link. "I can feel it. Stay close." They entered carefully, weapons drawn. The interior was worse than Sophie's dream had shown. Stone defaced with symbols, the air thick with something ancient and wrong. And in the center, standing before a stone altar, was Lord Carrick. But he wasn't alone. Sophie's father knelt before him, bound and gagged. Her heart lurched into her throat. "Dad!" "Sophie, wait!" But she was already running, Owen's shout behind her. Carrick smiled. "Right on time. I knew if I took the one thing you still loved from your old life, you'd come." "Let him go," Sophie demanded, skidding to a halt a few feet away. "I don't think so. You see, I've been studying silver wolves. Did you know your blood has unique properties? It can suppress shifter abilities, make an entire pack go dormant." Carrick's smile widened. "Your mother's blood built my fortune. Yours will build my empire." Ice flooded Sophie's veins. "You killed my mother?" "I funded the hunt that did. She was worth more dead than alive, just like you." Carrick gestured, and hunters emerged from the shadows. At least 20, all armed with silver weapons. "I wanted the Alpha King to watch, to see what happens when you bond with something too valuable to keep alive." Owen moved to Sophie's side, his presence solid and furious. "You won't touch her." "I won't have to. My hunters will." Carrick nodded to his men. "Kill the king. Bring me the silver wolf alive." The hunters attacked. Owen shifted instantly, his massive wolf appearing in a rush of power. Roxanne's transformation was just as fast, her rust and gold wolf launching forward with a snarl. Steel rang against silver as the king's guard met the hunter's weapons. Sophie ran for her father, weaving between clashing bodies. A hunter lunged into her path, fingers closing around her arm like a vice. He yanked her backward, and Sophie's wolf surged up. The shift tore through her, and suddenly she was snapping at the hand that held her. Her jaws found flesh and bone. The hunter's scream was high and sharp as he released her, stumbling back. She bounded toward her father, shifting mid-stride. Her human hands fumbled with the ropes binding him. That's when she felt a familiar bolt pierce her shoulder, burning like acid. Sophie's vision whited out. She hit the ground hard, gasping, the poison already spreading through her veins like liquid fire. But she'd survived silver once before. She could do it again. She forced the shift, her wolf rising through the pain. Snarling, she spun and launched herself at the hunter who'd shot her. They went down in a tangle of limbs and fur. Her claws found his chest, raking deep. He didn't get up. Sophie Owen's mental voice was frantic. "Get your father and get out. Not without you." She could see him across the cathedral. 3 hunters converging on him at once, silver blades flashing. Roxanne fought like a demon against 5 more, but the numbers were overwhelming. Sophie's wolf made a decision. She threw back her head and howled, a sound that seemed to pull at something deep in the stone itself. Every shifter in the room went still, because Sophie could feel them now. Not just sense them, but feel them. The golden threads connecting Owen's guards to him, the pack bonds that made them loyal until death. And beneath that, she felt the hunters. Their bonds were sick things, dark and twisted where Carrick had forced obedience through magic that reeked of corruption. Her gift wasn't just sensing bonds, it was breaking them. Sophie fixed on the nearest hunter, on that thread tying him to Carrick. She reached for it and pulled. The bond snapped like a rotten rope. The hunter stumbled, confusion flooding his face. Looked at the weapon in his hands like he didn't know how it got there. Sophie did it again. And again. Each time, another hunter fell away from Carrick's control, dropping weapons, stumbling back in horror. "What are you doing?" Carrick screamed. "Stop her!" But the hunters who were still under his control were too few now. Owen and Roxanne tore through them with brutal efficiency. Within minutes, it was over. The freed hunters fled. The loyal ones were dead. And Carrick stood alone before the altar, his face twisted with rage. Owen shifted back to human, stalking toward the councilman with murder in his eyes. "You sent hunters after my mate," Owen said, his voice deadly quiet. "You tried to kill her. Twice." "She's too dangerous to live," Carrick spat. "Silver wolves bonded to alpha kings. You'll destroy everything we've built, the balance of power. The balance is already shifting. You just chose the wrong side." Owen's hand closed around Carrick's throat. "You have one chance to tell me who else is involved. Who else funded the hunts?" Carrick laughed, the sound choking. "Kill me. There are others. Dozens of others who don't want shifters to become too powerful. You can't stop what's coming." Owen's eyes blazed amber. "Then I'll kill them too." And he did. One swift motion, and Carrick's neck snapped. The councilman's body crumpled to the stone floor. Sophie shifted back to human. Roxanne appeared with a cloak, draping it over Sophie's shoulders. Then Sophie ran to her father, pulling the gag from his mouth. "Sophie." His voice was hoarse. "I'm sorry. I should have told you years ago. About your mother. About what you were." "It's okay, Dad." Sophie's hands shook as she untied him. "You were trying to protect me." "I failed." Her father's eyes were wet. "She died protecting you, and I almost got you killed by hiding the truth. But you didn't. I'm alive. I'm safe." Sophie helped him stand. "And I finally understand what I am." Owen appeared behind her, now dressed in spare clothes from one of the guards. His hand settled on her shoulder, grounding. "We need to leave," he said quietly, "before more come." They rode back to the palace in silence. Sophie's father was given rooms to rest and recover. Roxanne went to debrief the guards, and Sophie followed Owen to his chambers. The moment the door closed, Owen pulled her into his arms. His hand slid into her hair, tilting her face up to his. "I thought I'd lost you," he said against her hair. "When that bolt hit you again." "I'm okay. The silver didn't—" But Owen was shaking, she realized. This strong, powerful man was trembling against her. "I can't lose you," he said hoarsely. "I love you, Sophie. I'm in love with you, and the thought of watching you die." Sophie pulled back just enough to cup his face in her hands. "I love you too." Owen went very still. "You do?" "Yes. I know it's fast. But when I look at you, I feel home. When you touch me, I feel right." Her thumb brushed his cheekbone. Something in Owen's expression cracked wide open. He kissed her then, deep and desperate and full of everything he couldn't say. Sophie kissed him back just as fiercely, pouring weeks of fear and longing into it. "I need you," Owen breathed against her mouth. "Sophie, I need—" "Yes," she said. "Whatever you're asking." "Yes." His eyes flashed amber. "You're sure? Your injuries? They're healed enough." Sophie's hands found the laces of his shirt. "Don't make me wait longer." Owen groaned, his control shattering. He lifted her easily, carrying her to his bed, laid her down with tenderness despite the hunger blazing in his eyes. "Tell me if anything hurts," he said, his hands already working at the laces of her borrowed dress. What followed was fire and sweetness and discovery. Owen's hands learning every inch of her skin. Sophie's fingers raking down his back as he moved inside her. The mate bond flaring between them, bright and consuming and utterly right. When they finally collapsed together, both gasping and sated, Sophie felt the bond settle into place. Complete. Unbreakable. "Took you long enough," her wolf said. "I thought he'd never stop being so noble." "What was that?" Owen asked, his voice rough with contentment. My wolf is very pleased with you. Owen's eyes widened, a slow smile spreading across his face. I can hear her. Sophie's head snapped up. The bond's complete, which means I can hear everything your wolf is thinking. Oh, he can hear me now? Her wolf perked up immediately. Even better. Tell him his shoulders are magnificent. She's talking about my shoulders, isn't she? Owen's chest rumbled with laughter. Obviously, Owen's wolf rumbled back, his voice deep and primal. The little wolf has excellent taste. Little? I took down 3 hunters, her wolf said indignantly. And I saved your magnificent shoulders from that silver bolt. You're welcome. And I'll be grateful forever, Owen's wolf said. You're brave, fierce, perfect. Her wolf practically melted. I want to bite you again. You can bite me anytime you want, Owen's wolf rumbled. Sophie pressed her face back into Owen's chest, half laughing, half mortified. They're conspiring. They absolutely are, Owen agreed, grinning. And I think we're outnumbered. Now that we're mated, there's no undoing it. Sophie pressed a kiss to his chest, right over his heart. I don't want to undo it. They lay tangled together, hearts slowing, and Sophie felt a peace settle over her. But Owen's next words pierced through her bubble. There's something I need to tell you about what Carrick said, about others funding the hunts. Owen's arm tightened around her. He was right. There are more. Families who've been working in secret to keep shifters weak. We've been tracking them, but finding them just became easier. Sophie finished. Because I can sense corrupted bonds now. I can find traitors. Yes, which makes you even more valuable, and even more of a target. Sophie sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. Then we root them out before they can hurt anyone else. We? I'm not hiding in the palace while you face this alone. Sophie met his eyes steadily. My gift, this bond-breaking ability, it's meant for this, to protect our people. Pride and love and fear warred across Owen's face. Finally, he pulled her back, down beside him. Together then, but you train with Roxanne first. Learn to control your gift. Master your wolf. How long? A month. Maybe 2. Owen's hand found hers. I know it feels like forever, but if you're going to fight beside me, if you're going to be my queen, you need to be ready. Queen. The word sent a thrill through Sophie. Okay, she agreed. I'll train. But after, we hunt them all. Owen's eyes blazed. Every last traitor, every hunter, anyone who threatens what's ours. Our pack, Sophie said softly. Our future. Owen kissed her forehead. 6 months later, Sophie stood on the palace balcony, watching the sun rise over the capital. So much had changed. She'd trained with Roxanne until her body was lean muscle, and her wolf was second nature. She'd learned to sense bonds, not just break them, but strengthen them, heal damaged pack ties, create loyalty where there had been doubt. She and Owen had rooted out the remaining Hunt sympathizers in the court, arrested them, dismantled their networks. The work wasn't done, would probably never be fully done, but they'd made the realm safer. And 2 days ago, the court had officially recognized her, not just as Owen's mate, but as his queen. Sophie touched her stomach, where new life was just beginning to grow. A daughter, she somehow knew. The first silver wolf born in 3 centuries, arms wrapped around her from behind, and Owen pressed a kiss to her neck. I felt it, he said quietly. Through the bond. Our daughter. Sophie turned in his arms. You knew? Just now. His smile was tender as he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small carved wolf, silver, delicate, with amber eyes. My mother wore this. It's been passed down through the royal bloodline for generations, always given to the woman who carries the next heir. He pressed it into her palm. It's yours now. Hers. One day. Sophie's throat tightened as she closed her fingers around the carving. It's beautiful. So are you. Owen's hand covered hers on her stomach. Sophie rose on her toes to kiss him, pouring everything she felt into it. I love you. I love you too. Owen pulled her close. Both of you. All three of us, her wolf corrected. Don't forget about me. I did all the hard work. Sophie laughed. Did you really? I did. I'm the one who recognized him first. I'm the one who wanted to bite him. I'm the one who... We know, Owen's wolf rumbled, amused. You're very impressive. Thank you, her wolf preened. I knew I liked you for a reason. Well, that and the shoulders. Sophie groaned, burying her face in Owen's chest. I like her shameless, Owen murmured against her hair. And as the sun rose over the palace, painting everything in gold, Sophie felt her wolf settle contentedly inside her, her mate beside her, her daughter growing beneath her heart, her kingdom spreading out before her. Best birthday ever, her wolf whispered. Started with cake and humiliation, ended with a kingdom and those big shoulders. Not bad for one night. Sophie smiled against Owen's chest. Not bad at all. Will you rate this story from 1 to 10? And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It's free, and it helps more people find these stories.